What's up, Renegade Nation? Before we begin the video, I'd like to give a big shout out to our most recent Patreon supporters: Dark Cap'n, Telma, Joshua Gare, Canadian Caesar, Kenvara, Jean-Luc Cheritat, OXL, Colin Young, Ross Lingard, Joshua Lawrence, Kevin, by the way, I'm a girl, Yoda, and Munit D02. Thank you all very much for your support, and if you want to support us on Patreon, feel free to click the link below to find out more, and we'll see you there. Okay, we're doing a Star Wars video, but I hope... Well, civility, guys. Civility. That is all I ask for in the comment section. In which, now that I've asked for it, I guarantee you we're not going to have it.
What the hell does that mean?
Peace was never an option. Palpatine's been playing both sides this whole time.
You ain't kidding. Holy hell. So, a Star Wars video that isn't talking about the misfires of Last Jedi or, you know, Rise of Skywalker or anything like that. Or, you know, sucking the proverbial dick of the Mandalorian, which, you know, it deserves all the sucking it can get because, you know, it's an awesome show.
Except he never takes the helmet off of the little helmet off, so it's impossible.
Hey, man. Life finds a way. So
this was requested by Caracas, and
yes.
Despite the fact that I was real drunk when he asked me to recommend it to Nate,
well,
I still remembered.
Well, this was in our request line on our Discord, so
That was from him.
Yeah. So I saw it and I'm like, oh, hey, what up, Caracas? And we didn't know which one to do, and we were just like, Army or Navy, and to which we were just like, considering space battles are, you know, we see a fair amount of space battles. I wonder how a ground assault would go between the two sides. So, yeah. Which Star Wars faction has the best army / ground forces? Star Wars lore. So, you know...
I think they're actually going with 4 different factions. In this.
Well, yeah,
They're
4...
going
Well,
with
yeah.
The old ones and the new ones.
Yeah, well, if you're going by
Old
Old Republic standards... if you're going by Old Republic standards, I mean... The Empire had a hell of an army back in the day, dude. Hell of an army. But that being said, I mean, there's a reason why the Sith almost went extinct during that era, and it's because poor leadership skills. Well. But we got the video queued up here. I figured let's just jump into it and see what kind of nonsense we can get into. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Today, we compare the armies of the Galactic Empire, the Republic, the Rebel Alliance, and the Confederacy of Independent Systems in order to determine which one is best. Hey guys, this is Eckhart's Ladder. Hello and welcome to another Star Wars Legends lore video. Yesterday, we looked at the naval forces of the 4 main factions in the Star Wars prequel and original trilogies. Today, we'll be looking at their ground units. At the end of today's video, I've also included a short form of an unboxing I did recently of some exclusive Logitech Star Wars Battlefront 2 gear. If you want to check that out, stick around to the end or click the link down in the description to see the whole thing. We'll start off by examining the positives and the negatives of each faction, and then at the end we'll rank them from best to worst. The focus of the ranking will not be on total power or availability of numbers, but rather on how well designed and organized a faction's military is. Let's look first at the Empire, and unlike their navy which we discussed yesterday, the ground forces of the Empire are actually fairly specialized, with several different types of units and vehicles. By far the most positive aspect of the Empire's army was the degree of specialized troops available. This was largely due to the fact that the Empire was highly militarized and fought on a variety of planets against different enemy types. When I say specialized, that means a few different things. Of course, the military had different armor types depending on the environment. You see snow troopers and sand troopers and storm troopers, but there was also a troop skill hierarchy, starting with the very basic army troops all the way up to top secret special forces units. Although some of these were technically
Commandos
naval
and
assets,
shit like
from
that.
Imperial and Stormtrooper commandos, all the way to the various type of dark troopers, the Empire had special forces units for basically every type of situation. The Empire's choice of vehicles, however, were in my opinion less well thought out. As with their navy, much of the Empire's vehicle design focused largely on fear factor over practicality. Now, admittedly, in Star Wars Legends especially, the Empire had dozens or perhaps hundreds of different types of ground vehicles. However, the core and the heart of most Imperial ground operations were their mechanized walkers. Are walkers inherently bad? No, they're not. But the walkers used by the Empire did have some glaring weaknesses. The AT-AT, for example, while capable of dishing out a lot of firepower and taking a good deal of damage, was an unnecessarily high target and very difficult to maneuver. The fear factor is there, but in most practical ways, I think it's a step down from the Republic's AT-TE. In most cases, I think repulsor lift vehicles or tanks would also be better than two-legged walkers like AT-STs. It's sort of surprising, the Imperial Stormtrooper Corps is relatively specialized, but the vehicle choice seems to be based more on blunt force and fear. And I do know that the Empire did use things like tanks, but walkers were far more common. One thing I do want to note is that despite the sheer size of the Empire, I do think they had excellent logistics. The fact that they're able to deploy troops on so many planets quickly really speaks highly to not only their army, but also their navy. It's interesting to compare and contrast the Empire with the Republic during the time of the Clone Wars. First of all, the Empire's heavy use of Special Forces divisions was clearly inspired by the Republic. From the very specialized divisions of low-level infantry all the way up to Special Forces like the ARC Trooper or the Clone Commando, the Clone Army was not at all a blunt weapon, especially when complemented by Jedi forces. I also think the mechanized portions of the Republic Army were much more intelligently designed and effective than that of the Empire. The AT-TE was much more practical than the later AT-AT, possessing extra sturdiness, more varied weapons, and a lower profile. It also had less of a focus on troop transport, with the Republic using dedicated walkers for that purpose. Minor design issues notwithstanding, I also think the A6 Juggernaut is a fantastic vehicle, capable of not only assaulting enemy positions directly, but also acting as a frontline command post. I also like how, instead of like the Empire, which uses the AT-ST as sort of a catch-all for both troop transport, recon, and frontline assault, the Republic divides those roles between walkers like the AT-RT and the AT-AP. The Republic also had dedicated artillery, which is not something that we commonly see in the Star Wars universe. Perhaps because the Republic Army was needed to fight a galaxy-spanning war, which would have a heavy emphasis on ground combat, it was one of the best ground-based military forces in the Star Wars universe. And that's not even touching on the dedicated training received by clones, or the integration of Jedi within the army. Next we have the Rebel Alliance, and to be honest, this matchup isn't really very fair because the Alliance did not focus on having a large or powerful standing army. Instead, they focused on hit and run and guerrilla tactics, much like their Navy. The difference is this: while the Navy was still geared towards hit and run tactics, they did still, at times, see action on a larger scale, and were thus organized and outfitted in a way that made sense. However, the same is not true of the Army. The only real battle that they fought in a large scale was Hoth, and they lost badly. The build-up and organization of the Alliance Army follows these realities, with troops geared for small skirmishes or covert operations. The Alliance also did not have dedicated production facilities for their vehicles. As I said, we're not looking at which army was the strongest, but it's still difficult to guess how well organized an army is when you can't say reliably what vehicles they would have taken along. Besides for stolen or found Imperial, Republic, or Confederate units, the Alliance most often made use of light tanks. These vehicles work really well with hit-and-run tactics or in fighting small battles, but the Alliance really lacks heavy hitters like artillery or mechanized walkers. All in all, I think the ranking of the Alliance will need to have an asterisk next to it. I think it's safe to say that the Alliance's army was not the best, perhaps it was even the worst. However, it was at least somewhat effective in its restrained use. I will say though, at the Battle of Endor, which was probably the largest test for the Alliance's ground forces, they likely would have failed without the help of the Ewoks, so that needs to be considered as well.
Those furry
Finally,
little bastards.
we have perhaps the most interesting army on this list, the Separatist Droid Army. Obviously, the most notable thing about this force is in the title. It was composed primarily and almost totally by droids. There are several benefits to this. The first is that you can manufacture a droid for whatever purpose you need. As long as you have the resources, you can also continually build droids throughout the war without having to worry about any sort of training or running out of troops. The Separatist Droid Army did have some weaknesses though. The main B-1 battle droid, which made up the majority of their forces, was inept at times and certainly less skilled than the clone troopers which it fought against. Although, as I mentioned throughout this video, the total power of the droid army is not important here, a typical force would have more units than the opposing army. As I talked about yesterday, the droid navy employed similar tactics with their management of droid starfighters. I do think the standard B1 foot soldiers were complemented nicely by upgraded droid models, including B2s, droidicas, and other specialized variants. Backing up the droid army was a wide array of autonomous or droid-controlled vehicles. These were, in my opinion, geared towards more of an anti-personnel rather than an anti-armor role. There were some exceptions to this, including notably the Super Tank, the Octup Tara Tri-Droid, and the AAT. However, these vehicles were comparatively only found in battle rarely. With a brief description of these factions, let us now rank their army from best to worst. Coming in at number 1 is, in my opinion, the Galactic Republic. Everything about this army is purely functional. It has a good variety of vehicles, and the troops are well trained with distinct roles and dedicated special forces units. The army is well suited for small skirmishes, attacking positions, fighting armor, personnel, and basically doing whatever is necessary. And that's to say nothing about the excellent clone training and the inclusion of Jedi Knights and Masters within their ranks. Number 2 is the Confederacy of Independent Systems. Whether you like a droid army or not is ultimately individual preference. However, I will say I believe that the vehicles of the Confederacy are less well suited to some situations than that of the Republic. Specifically, I think they will struggle to repel Republic vehicles like Juggernauts and the AT-ATs introduced at the end of the war. I think the Republic is also more well served by its distinct artillery. Number 3 is the Galactic Empire, and while the Empire does a good job with how they manage their individual troops, I think their vehicles and the functionality of their vehicles leave a little bit to be desired. I think generally the armored and mechanized portions of the Imperial Army is a significant step back when compared with the Republic. Coming in last is the Rebel Alliance. While there is no denying that the Alliance was effective at skirmishes and hit-and-run attacks, they were woefully unprepared for large-scale engagements, as we saw at Hoth and to a lesser extent at Endor. Much of this came from the fact that the Alliance did not have any reliable source of heavy vehicles. So, while they are fourth, consider it fourth but with a caveat. They did what they needed to, but they really can't stand up to the other armies on this list, both in size and in composition. And from best to worst, those are the 4 factions: the Republic, the Confederacy of Independent Systems, the Empire, and the Alliance. That's just my opinion though. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Am I overestimating the Republic, underestimating one of the other factions? Be sure to let me know. I am going to sign off right now, but if you want to see some exclusive Star Wars Battlefront 2 PC stuff that I got from Logitech, make sure to stick around and watch the little video. To see the full thing, go to my second channel, X2. Until next time, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
I think
So,
people will be mad if we don't watch this bit at the end.
yeah.
Insert unlocking sound here. Very cool. What's in the box? Oh, a mouse pad. Oh, so speak of the devil. G840XL gaming mouse pad. Super cool. Okay, so when they said, and when the box said that it was an extra large mouse pad, I'm not going to lie.
Dude.
I definitely did not expect it to be this extra large. My desk is now basically one giant mouse pad, which is pretty awesome. I might actually be able to win a game of PUBG now. Alright, so that's open, and yes, it is RGB, so it does glow. That is pretty incredible. And also, I did unbox the headphones as well. It's all got nice Inferno Squad logos, and witness the firepower of my fully armed and operational Christmas battle station. What's this? Oh, nice, a gaming mouse. Wow. I'm really going to be set up again. I might actually win a game of whatever current video game I'm playing now. Is that it?
That looks like some cool stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well,
See, I thought about getting a mouse pad like that. The only thing that I have about that is there's a trick that I do all the time to try to get my sensitivity very similar in games, which is set the mouse on one side of the pad, go all the way to the other side, and take note of how far I turn in the game, and try to get it to where I turn the same amount in every game, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that makes it closer to like the same kind of sensitivity in each game, so I'm always playing with a similar sensitivity no matter what game I'm playing. And if I had one like that, I don't have a starting point, you know, to do that with.
Yeah.
So that's why I have just a big ass square mouse pad.
I just got the little square mouse pad. I got like the one that's like this big. Nick's is like about almost 3 times the size of mine, which, you know.
So when I turn around, I go like this.
So, he does like a full arm movement like that. Whereas me, I've like
when I'm
perfected
aiming with
like
my,
the little
you know,
like the little movements like this.
I'm just doing like
oh,
this.
dude, I had an awesome game where I was playing a Modern Warfare earlier, and I snapped to the head with my shotgun on 3 different people as they were coming in. I was defending one of the points on domination. It was the middle. It was the one. It was the B one on the. Oh gosh, I forget which one it is. It's the one with the cargo crates. It's not shipment, but it's the one with the building with the long hallways.
Shoot house.
No.
Or wait, the one with the trains?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that one. But...
Well, I remembered that because I was sitting there on B, and then all of a sudden, one by one, they came from the different directions of the windows, and I was just like, okay, headshot, headshot, headshot. I'm like, oh yes! And then as soon as I do that, someone comes up behind me and blows me away with a shotgun. I'm just like, oh.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah, but I was sitting there with my M4, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is awesome. Dead. Well, crap. I gotta say, I agree 100% with what this, what he was saying about the different armies and everything. I mean, the Republic at its peak, whenever it had everything running, going for it, quite the force to be reckoned with. I mean, holy shit. I mean, I remember, and I keep forgetting how awesome some of those battle scenes in episode 2 and 3 are. I mean, especially the one with those like high focused lasers that take down those globe ships, and then that one comes like falling down. It's like, ooh, it looked so cool when I saw that when I was younger.
Yeah.
And same thing with the battle on Kashyyyk in episode 3. Yet that one friggin' Wookiee swinging in like Tarzan, like oh, like playing the bomb on the side of that one like amphibious thing that the Federation had, and it blows up. It's like, oh, so cool, so good. See, if we'd had more stuff like that in the prequels, I think people would have a much higher standard of the prequels instead of the, in my opinion, the whinging of Anakin Skywalker plus the horribly boring political talk and the clunky dialogue about the clunky like relationship dialogue between Amidala and Anakin as well.
Yeah, like if you had like someone writing that relationship that actually was good at writing romance stuff, maybe.
Yeah, something. I guarantee you, that's how George Lucas approaches his romantic life. Is he married?
I'm sure he is.
I guarantee you, when he met his wife, he walked up to her. He was like, I hate sand. It gets everywhere, and it's all porous, and she's just like, what? And he's like, I'm George Lucas. I'm worth $4.6 billion.
That's probably what. That's probably what he led with. I literally Scrooge McDuck around in a pile of gold.
Yes,
because I brought Star Wars to life.
Yes, and 20th Century Fox was stupid enough to let me keep the merchandising rights, which. I mean, can you fault the guy? I mean, there's a reason why he turned the prequels into a bunch of toy-driven nonsense. It made the guy, like, how much money? I think, like, $10 billion. That's crazy.
Yeah, if you look at, like, money it's made, divided up in, like, a pie chart, it's like toys is just crazy more than everything.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this was way back when, and now it seems as though the toys for the new series has pretty much fallen off the map. Don't get me wrong, there's a bunch of people like buying BB-8 plushies and everything, but no one's really buying like Rey, Poe, Finn, or Kylo Ren like action figures and shit like that. Yeah. Whereas back in the day,
one or two people might have bought like a Kylo Ren lightsaber, but
oh yeah, the bastard saber, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
but
I mean, like, I think their highest sales on any kind of Star Wars merch coming up is going to be the fact that BlueDebut has a Baby Yoda.
Oh, dude, yeah, Baby Yoda. So Baby Yoda and The Mandalorian are like big cash cows right now.
Yeah, there's memes about that because it's like me going to build a bear and it's like, hi, how can I help you? I want to build the baby.
I want to build the Baby Yoda. It's like, the Baby Yoda, the Baby Yoda. I'm sorry, sir, we're out of materials. I'll wait.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just like sit down in front of the thing. It's like, I'll wait. And then everyone's just like, what are you sitting down for? It's like, they're out of material to make Baby Yoda. And they sit down with you and they're like, we'll wait too. Because everybody out there will want a Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
You know what I want? I want the Baby Yoda with an eye patch that actually like isn't for like any reason, like he hasn't lost an eye or anything. He just wears it because he thinks it makes him look cool. And then he like flips the eye patch up and he's like
I would honestly like to see like a short film of like Werner Herzog going in to Build-A-Bear and using his lines, you know, or like similar lines to what he used in the show with like the, you know.
It is not upon me to decipher what it means to be a bad person. I just want the creature. Please, can you make it for me?
Just like freaking out the little person. It's like, what exquisite craftsmanship. Talk about their ancestral artisans.
Oh, I love Werner Herzog so much in that. Like that one scene in the beginning, it's just like, Werner Herzog. I wonder how the hell they convinced. Actually, I guarantee they didn't have to convince him at all. It's like, hey, Werner, you want to be in a Star Wars thing? I have waited my entire life for someone to ask me that question.
I mean, yeah.
And
like
to it, I will say, yes, absolutely.
People absolutely kicking the door down to, you know, get on board with something like that.
Well, of course, as soon as you found out Jon Favreau was, you know, producing it and Dave Filoni was writing it, and not only that, but Taika Waititi was going to be directing some of the episodes, hell yes! I mean, come on!
It's still awesome to me that they got Bill Burr in it.
Yes! Oh, God. You gotta be honest, I started watching it, I started watching it the day after Quinn and Kinsey were over and they were talking about it whenever we watched A New Hope on Wednesday, and I'm just like, I can't help myself. I gotta watch it. And I'm on episode 6 right now, and I'm just like, I'm so happy that I'm finally watching this because like, I just couldn't wait anymore, guys. I couldn't wait anymore.
I don't blame you. It's very good.
It hurts so much. And also, I'm pleased to report this, Micah. Quinn loves Star Wars so far. We started out with Rogue One, and we're on A New Hope right now, or we just finished A New Hope, and Quinn is just in. Quinn's just like, I am all about this. This is everything to me.
There are people out there that don't like Star Wars, and that's completely fine. I don't.
Oh yeah, in which Quinn admitted that you know, they were just like, I don't know if I like it or not. It's like I'm afraid that I won't like it, and everyone will dislike me and hate me.
They actually said they were like, I'm fully expecting to not like this actually.
And by the end of Rogue One, they were just like, so the series is over now, right? It's over now. I mean, all those characters that I loved are dead now. It's like,
they go.
Don't worry, Quinn. There's more.
As you like, totally like Shang's son. It has begun.
Yes. Which, you'll also be pleased with this. You know who one of Quinn's favorite characters were?
From Rogue One?
No. From A New Hope. The Jawas.
Oh.
They love the Jawas to death.
Also R2-D2.
And R2, yeah.
Freaking Jawas, man.
Yeah. Quinn was just like, they're little monsters that live in the mountain.
They hoard junk.
Yeah. So
they thought there was only one of them so far, and they were like, "That's my new best friend." And then they found out there was a bunch of them, and they're like,
"They're everywhere."
There's a whole lot of them.
Yeah, and Quinn was actually upset when they died, and we also Nick and I and Kinsey all died at the one moment where Obi-Wan Kenobi said, "Only Imperial stormtroopers are so accurate."
Yeah. Okay, to be fair, like they were allowed to escape from the Death Star, so.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, well, yeah.
They specifically wanted them to lead them back to the Rebel base on Yavin, so.
Yeah, and look what happened.
There's a whole lot of scenes in the remainder of it where they're missing a lot of shots too. So
yeah,
it wasn't just that scene or sequence, whatever.
Well, stop that ship, blast them, and then Joey, get us out of here.
Yeah, that's true too. Like they missed like all their shots on
Han as he was running in.
They got the drop on Han.
Yeah, because he was just literally staying there, just
still
like,
missed all their shots. That's another one of the scenes people cite is like their whole like Han may be force sensitive and they just don't say it thing. That
I think he is.
Yeah.
Well, they've said the same thing about Poe in the newer ones. Like Poe has to be.
They
because
actually
he's that good
cite
of
the
a
scene
pilot.
where they're like only stormtroopers are this accurate as like a reasoning that like the entire main cast is actually secretly force sensitive.
So you're saying
or
force
the force
sensitivity is
actually
plot armor.
either that or the force is actually protecting all these main characters.
Ford tells us they can bring
Well,
balance
and then
to
of
it.
course there's also that one thing you talked about where Luke's thing goes out on his X-wing, and that's actually causing him to sway more and more, and that's actually what's causing him to be hit. Potentially like escape Darth Vader's sight.
Yeah,
There's
it's like that stabilizer's out again. Can you lock it down? And it's making him actually like
Sway and everything.
There's a lot of,
and that's like actually adding like an amount of like evasiveness to his flight pattern.
There's a lot of
essentially.
like theory crafting that basically Han Solo has like force luck, basically,
Yeah.
where it's like it's not.
I call it luck.
Yeah.
I bet you do.
I
Huh?
mean, one literally says, in my experience, there's no such thing as luck. In other words, like all your luck that you think you have is actually the force helping you out.
Yeah.
So yeah,
To which,
it's pretty cool to think about.
Yeah, and then of course there's also what's the one scene? Yeah, we got two scenes I got really mad at. One from the alteration that was made. Although Nick and I agree, what they did and changed on Disney Plus makes
at
it
least
better
than the 97 update.
Yeah, where Greedo shot first, instead they both shot at the same time. Yeah. Makranki.
Like Greedo's shot just kind of went up above his head, rather than having him do the
The weird.
Yeah, that I was more happy with, because when we explained it to Quinn was originally like confused as to why we were so mad about it, and then we showed Quinn like what happened. Why, how Han just like magically just went.
They also didn't realize we were talking about a different version. Like they thought
Yes.
this was the same version as the second version or whatever.
Yeah,
I will say
there's a third.
It's fun to see that some of those things don't die, because a lot of people don't dislike EA and Capital Games for good reason. But in Galaxy of Heroes, Han Solo, original trilogy, Han Solo has a special. His unique is shoots first. So in the match, Han Solo takes a bonus turn and always shoots first, no matter what the speed of other characters is. It's pretty hilarious.
And then, of course, there's also the other thing I was pissed about, which I was pissed about still up until... Well, I'm still mad about it, but I'm happy he finally got it. Chewie... Where's Chewie's medal? Where was Chewie's medal? Why didn't Chewie get a medal at the end of the celebration ceremony? But in Rise of Skywalker, he finally got one.
I think there was something in Expanded Universe that like Wookiees don't like public displays of like grandeur or anything.
Well,
But I don't know if that's actually canon anymore.
It's not canon anymore. Disney just went, oh, all these expanded universes you like, so...
Well, that's what I'm saying, but I don't know if it... Because they've reintroduced a lot of stuff. There's a lot of extra content now that's, some of it good, some of it bad.
Some of it is at their disposal, and they'll make it canon if they choose to do so.
No, like I'm saying, they are producing contents. Like the Vader series now is canon and apparently really good and things like that. So I'm not talking about... I said Expanded Universe. I don't know if that came from Expanded Universe. I don't remember where I read that.
I know that the Old Republic is probably what they're going to be doing next for their films. Which, if they do like Darth Revan and stuff like that from the Knights of the Old Republic, I think that'll be really cool. And I'm wondering who the hell. Well, there's talk that Keanu Reeves might be.
Yeah, there's a big fan
in the talk.
I think it'd be interesting. I think they'll have to change the story a little bit because it is pretty convoluted if they try and cover all of that.
Well, if they put the right people in charge of it, which I'm hoping that here soon they announce that Jon Favreau is now the new head of the Star Wars cinematic, the Star Wars cinematics universe, and his new head writer is Dave Filoni, because as far as I'm concerned, those two can do literally anything they want, and I will not be mad. I mean, I mean, how much worse could they get from what they've already done?
Oh, yeah.
From what the sequel trilogy gave us.
I'm just saying it's kind of convoluted because it's like he's a Jedi, we're fighting Mandalorians. It's like then we get turned to Sith, and then it's like, and then I get betrayed and defeated by the Jedi. They erase my memory. Then I remember I was a Sith and a Jedi. Now I'm going to pick one.
Well,
oh wait, Bastilla's been turned now. We gotta save her.
I'm thinking the whole thing with it. That's a BioWare tick, dude. BioWare they get away with a lot of convoluted stuff. I mean, opening of Mass Effect 2. Yeah, still got problems with that. Even though it's my favorite game of the whole series, that is to me the biggest bullshit moment of the entire franchise. Even worse than Mass Effect Andromeda. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But yeah,
I just think it'd be hard to pace for a movie.
Well,
a lot of back and forth like that.
They're gonna make a trilogy, dude. They've already said it's going to be a trilogy.
Even for a trilogy, I think that'd be.
Well, if they abridge a lot of stuff and they pretty much are just like the movie starts out with say, you know, Darth Malik or Darth Revan and Darth Malik, you know, we see them on a conquest, and then, you know, later on, I don't know, they'll have to doctor some stuff to make it fit cinematically and make it flow better as a story that would work on the big screen. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, I agree 100%. I mean, there's a lot of convoluted nonsense that, you know, in the video games they got away with.
It's much beloved. I just don't see how you're going to pack that into a trilogy and make it good.
Well, hell, I never thought that they would be able to, I never thought they'd be able to do a Marvel Cinematic Universe and make it as good as they did.
Well, yeah, but you could probably take the KOTOR content and make like a 10-movie arc out of it. I mean, because Marvel, how many movies have they had to tell that story, you know?
Well, you probably could, yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's just, do you think Disney's willing to do that?
No.
Given given what happened with the sequel trilogy?
No. I don't know. People do love Revan, so.
Oh, yes. And I don't know who they'll, like...
And I mean, depending on how they fudge the dates, Yoda being 900 years old when he dies in Return of the Jedi, they could potentially have actual baby Yoda at some point in
Real
the
baby
Old
Yoda.
Republic.
Real baby Yoda, yeah. That'd be interesting.
That was one thing that my buddy Chance was actually pointing out to me, by the way, is that Yoda being 900 years old when he passed away and being an old man, and baby Yoda being 50 years old but still looking like an infant, the mechanics of that time-wise don't actually add up, if you think about it.
He's like playing, he can really talk and stuff.
It's like if you were to put that in like the equivalent of like human years, it's like, okay, so you're essentially like 1 to 2 years old when you're 50 in that race, so then that means that 50 years is 1 to 2 years, so you got... Let's see, 900. It's like at 900 he should have been like 18, like basically not an old man. So something's weird about the way that they set that up, and they're gonna have to explain that if they.
Well, I mean, but see, I mean, think
if they ever want that to make any sense.
Think about like like a dog at 18 years old. I mean, that's pretty old, broke down dog.
Yeah, I told him it was like essentially
dog years. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, well, that's how they explain Hellboy. For him, it's like reverse dog years.
But a dog at 18 isn't old and broke down, but like he would be like a lot older in human years, obviously. Whereas like it's just the way they did that is like, oh, he's 50 years old, he's still an infant. Doesn't really add up with being 900 and being a really fucking old man, like an ancient old man. But like unless they have like different life cycles where like they age very fucking slowly as an infant, but then whenever he hits like say like 75, like he starts to grow very quickly and becomes an adult.
It could be sort of seen as like the Asari from Mass Effect to some degree, because the Asari, how they age, they can actually live for like 2,000 years. So whenever they hit a certain age, they hit what they call their like it's effectively their peak years. It's like from age 20 to like 700. So they have like their best years where they actually can learn a lot. They can pretty much form themselves into whatever kind of person they want to be, an artist, a warrior, anything. And they're given literally all the time in the world, but eventually their bodies do start to break down, and you see, also Asari can mate with any species, and they can give birth to a child that will be Asari, but will have like genetic traits of whatever like species that they bred with. For instance, one of them is an Asari who had a father that was a that was a Krogan, which a Krogan is pretty much a gigantic meat tank with 4 hearts, and is unstoppable whenever it's got enough armor. So yeah, it's how shit works and how stuff is explained. Like, sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. But I don't know. I guess as long as it's interesting enough, I don't know. Yeah. You make a sacrifice for the quote unquote rule of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe they just have a super long infancy. Like
maybe
elephants have a really long gestational period.
They could maybe like divide it up as into like infant is like 1 to like 50, like 51 to 100 is like toddler, and then like say like I guess 101 to like 300 is like child, and then so like 301 to
he's not
500
very much taller,
is like
so.
teenager. 501 to 600 is young adults, and then you got
100 years of every.
Yeah, it's like a couple hundred years is like each phase of your life. They could possibly do it that way, like so. 50 years as an infant would make a little more sense in terms of like how humans grow to an extent if you were going to divide it up that way, I guess.
Yeah,
but if you're trying to just convert it directly into human years, it starts to not make sense. But if you did it that way, it could make more sense, I think.
Yeah, it could, but
it's just like they have long life phases essentially. So like he's been an old man for probably like about 100 to 150 years or something like that. When he's 900, basically, like that could make sense.
I guess they'll have to explain it at some time or another. Knowing Dave Filoni, he'll come up with a good reason.
Yeah.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it. This was which Star Wars faction has the best army/ground forces Star Wars lore. This was suggested by Caracas from our Discord. Hopefully, you all have enjoyed it, and if you want to see more from us, you know what to do. You hit that subscribe button, you ring that bell to stay notified, and you leave a like on the video. Helps us out a whole lot. And I guess until next time, signing off, I'm Nate.
Micah.
I'm Nick.
We'll see you all in the next one, everybody. Peace out.